Hi, everyone. In the off chance that you can hear me, I am going to try to do this on Zoom. Let me see if I'm able to. So if you are joining, and so the way I'll do this is I'm just going to close my eyes and meditate for a short time. And if sorry, I can hear myself on YouTube, so it's a little distracting. Let me try that again. I'm going to close my eyes and meditate for about 5 minutes. If you'd like to join on Zoom, I've pasted the link in the comments. Please go ahead and join from that link. And I'd love to have that interaction. It'll feel much better than speaking to an empty room, as it were. I might need to let you in when you join. So if that happens, just wait a moment. And when I open my eyes, I'll be able to let you in. And so with that, I'm going to set myself a 2-minute timer. And then we'll see what happens. And if you'd prefer to just interact over YouTube instead of coming on Zoom, that's fine too. I'll check the comments there in a moment. All right, so here we go. Okay. Well, I just opened my eyes and I don't see anyone on Zoom. So it doesn't look like people were able to join or decided not to join. In any case, I'm here. I wanted to do this as a Q&A. I just finished my morning sit a few hours ago, And yeah, I just thought I would share with anyone who wants to talk. I see there's one person who just chatted. Hi from India, Hyderabad. Hi back. So there, yeah, would love to hear about your practice, about what's working for people, what's not, what feels difficult. One of the things that that's been working really well for me, and I've mentioned this a previous time when I streamed, is having a regular group of people to sit with. For the last about 150 days, I think at this point, I've been sitting with a group of people on Zoom every afternoon. In the middle of my workday, I'll stop and we'll sit for an hour, and that's been a really rewarding experience, to get to sit with a consistent set of people every day, but then also to have a chance to chat with them afterwards. And it's a nice group of, someone in their early 30s, mid 30s, 40s, 50s, and 70s, and with a wide variety of experience. Some people who've sat, one person who sat a few 30-day courses, or one 30-day course, a few 20-day courses. Most of us are Vipassana meditators, but I also sit with people from different traditions. One who practices with Thich Nhat Hanh in their tradition, and then someone who sits in more of a Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So I think it's been really helpful to have that for me, and helpful to be able to talk about things with people who have less and more experience and learn from them. And one of the things I'm working on has been actually to try to create that for others. So I'm trying to create a site where you can log in and find people from around the world who would like to meditate at the same time as you. So there I see you have a question. What should be the main focus of meditation? Is it to increase our awareness and focus on the moment? And then right after that, I see another question. This may be a bit silly, but could you please describe what it means to be in the present moment? Wow. The simple questions are often the hardest. So let me just take a moment to collect my thoughts. Yeah, okay, so the way I think about it is this, that in a way, I'll just tell a quick story. Recently I was getting kind of stressed out. I often wonder, as I'm sure many people do, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing here with my life? And in my case, I've made some decisions to leave a well-paying job and work on something I feel passionate about. And I'm always wondering, is that the right thing to do? I have a family to support. What am I doing? And I had this thought the other day that, in a way, the question, am I on the right path, is in a way a nonsensical question, because it's the only path that you have. The path that you're on, the life that you're living, is the only life that you have. And you could almost say that what you're about, the decisions that you will make, are inevitable given the decisions you have made. And I don't mean that as like a life is predestined and we have no choice kind of way, but I mean that most of the time we're all operating based on our learned behavior. There's things I like, there's things that annoy me, there's things that I'm drawn towards. And most of the time I'm just acting on those learned behaviors that I keep reinforcing. And I'm coming back to your questions, I promise. And so when I think about what it means to be in the present moment, I think it's this ability to, in every moment, if you imagine that what I've lived until now is the only path I could have lived, in a way, or not could have lived, but it is the path that I've lived. And for the most part, what I will do next is in a way predetermined by what my conditioning is. So the only thing I have choice over is in this moment, will I act according to my conditioning? Or in this moment, will I be fully aware and fully able to grasp what's happening and respond to it with choice rather than from my conditioning? And if I can do that enough, in enough moments, then I'm able to change or sort of be proactive about my life. But to do that requires that I be that all of my attention is gathered in experiencing what's happening around me right now, and not in either reacting to things that are happening inside of me that are predictions of the future or ruminations on the past, but I'm just looking at what's happening right now. And in order to do that, it's obviously easier said than done. And I think of meditation as not an end in itself, not a goal in itself, but as the means to practice a kind of behavior. And that kind of behavior is the behavior of being fully aware of what's happening right now in a way that we're not compelled by our previous conditioning, but in a way that allows us to have choice over how we respond. So now coming back to Sudhir's question, what should be the main focus of our meditation? Well, and Sudhir, I'm not sure if you have done a Vipassana course or not, and the answer is in a way the same, but I'll maybe explain it accordingly if you're just able to respond in the chat. The point of meditation in a way is to figure out how to do that, how to live in the present moment without having to react to what's happening. So how do you do that? Well, in the Goenka Vipassana technique, the way of doing that is, the idea is that, well, a couple of things, so many things to say. One, that often thinking happens too fast and is too subtle for most of us to catch. That before we know it, we're in our thoughts and we're off over here. And so that's one of the reasons why in the Goenka practice, the focus is really on the body. The second reason is that the assertion is that when we are reacting based on conditioning to what's happening in our life, that reaction is not a reaction to the things that are happening, but rather that our mind is constantly, our mind or something, I don't know if mind is the right word, something in us is constantly evaluating what's happening, and we're responding to that evaluation. To be even more specific, that evaluation is happening and is presented to us as a physical sensation in our body. So when we have a evaluation of liking something, that shows up as a pleasant sensation in our body. When I have an evaluation of not liking something, that shows up as an unpleasant sensation in our body. So the assertion is that all of our conditioning is finally manifesting as sensations in our body. So if that's the case, then first we have to learn how to observe those sensations. And second, we have to learn how to observe them without reacting to them. In order to learn how to observe them, we first have to learn how to bring our attention to them. And in order to learn how to bring our attention to them, we first have to learn how to pay attention, which most of us don't even know. And so unrolling that, you can think of the approach that the Goenka courses take is to first teach you how to pay attention. And you do that through attending to your breath and just practicing coming back to the breath again and again. And when you get distracted, noticing that and then coming back to the breath. So that's the first step of it. Then the idea is that the breath is not just a convenient thing to pay attention to, but also a gateway to the sensations, because it is associated with both autonomic and deliberate behavior, meaning it's something you can control as well as happens automatically, as well as the autonomic behavior of our breath is kind of a very coarse representation of our sensations, meaning when we get nervous, our breath changes. When we get afraid, our breath changes, and so on. So then using the breath for our attention, we then make that transition to being able to pay attention and then pay attention to sensations in our body. And then we transition to the body scan. And then in the body scan, the goal is definitely not to bring up certain sensations in our body, but to just observe them, and then to be able to observe them without reacting. And then coming back to where I started, the whole point of all of that is so that as you are living your life, you're building a practice or a habit on the cushion of learning how to be with whatever comes up in the present moment. And be fully with that present moment, not with our interpretations of it, not with our reactions to it, not with our stories about what it might mean for the future. So I feel like I talked for a long time there. I don't know if that spoke to what you were asking about both Sudhir and light work. If you want to give me a little feedback on the chat with either a follow-up question or letting me know if that did speak to what you were asking about. Okay, thanks, Sudhir. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay between me speaking and seeing the chat here, so apologies for that. I think that's because I'm trying the Zoom thing where I was hoping to interact with people live. And again, in case you can't see that, I'm posting the link again if you'd like to join on video. What else? It's so easy to get caught up in my own words and the sound of my own voice. So that's why I'm trying to pause so that I just don't keep talking. Maybe a quick question to the few of you on this call. I'm curious, and if you're listening to this not live, but after the fact, if you could chat in the comments, that'd be really helpful. I'm curious how many people would be interested in connecting with meditators from all around the world live and over video. I mentioned this earlier about what I've been building and testing out as a tool that I've built is something that allows you to kind of enter a room at a certain time each day. And you can say, well, I'd like to do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. or whatever in my time zone. And it'll connect you with other people around the world. And then you can join this room that's open just during those times and then be connected with other people. It's a silent meditation. And then afterwards, there's a little bit of time to video chat so that you can share your practice, share your insights, any questions you have with other meditators. So if you're, I'm just curious if that's something that you'd be interested in. So there I see a comment. Thanks so much. Yeah, I haven't really been trying to promote this channel or grow it from that perspective. This is just, yeah, this is just something I'm doing because I enjoy it. And so anyways, I'm really happy that you find it valuable. So thank you for that. And that already makes it worth it. So no worries. Cool. Well, I'll pause for another, let's see, another maybe minute in case there's more questions. And if not, maybe this is a good time to stop for today. So I will close my eyes and just see if any questions arise, or if there's anything that someone would like to talk about. Or if you've seen some of the videos and want to add to that, like I said, I'm not a teacher. I'm learning every day as I practice also. So I'd love to hear from you. One of the cool things about practicing or creating a habit of presence or of present moment awareness is that ideally it's something you can do anytime, and I definitely can't do that anytime. But I think about moments like this when there's kind of this awkward pause, and oftentimes we don't like that feeling, and it creates a tendency or a what's the word I'm looking for? It creates an impulse to get rid of that feeling and to move on. But sometimes if you have cultivated a habit of noticing what's happening internally, it's possible to bring that to bear when you're not meditating, like with your eyes open. And so just kind of sharing that that's something that I'm doing right now is noticing what's happening in my body and how that feels, and trying not to react to that, but just notice, like, yeah, this feels a little like I'm speaking into an empty vacuum, and that's okay. So with that, I think this is a good time to end. Thank you for the people that watched, and if you're watching this after the fact, leave me a comment. Let me know if you have follow-up questions, or again, follow-up comments about something I said that maybe in your experience isn't quite right, and you have something to add there. I'd love that. And yeah, be well. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye, everyone.